So when talking about the best teams in NBA, just starting off in the Eastern Conference, people like to talk about the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, the Miami Heat, teams of that sort. We move out west, they talk about the Golden State Warriors, maybe the Los Angeles Clippers, who are a lot of teams' title favorites, the Lakers with LeBron James coming back healthy and such. But what if I told you that none of those teams were the best team in the NBA? What is going on, everybody? So, back again with another video. I've been thinking long and hard about this video, and I want to talk about one team in particular. That team is the Denver Nuggets, and why I'm starting to believe that the Nuggets are the best team in basketball and actually might have the best chance at winning an NBA championship next season. Let's get into it. Alright, so the Denver Nuggets, the Mile High. Their entire core was built in-house. They made great signings and great trades over the years to build the team to where it is now, and it's all put together by Coach Michael Malone. This well-oiled machine is led by none other than Nikola Jokic. It was found out pretty early that Jokic was actually the real deal. We first really heard about Jokic in the playoffs, early on in his career at just 23 years old. Jokic was putting up like 25, 13, and 8 assists in the playoffs, which is like, at 23, a 7-footer, like, that's insane. Either way though, he continued to get better, he continued to blossom, he turned into an MVP. Not just one-time MVP, no. Back-to-back MVPs, something that's only been done a handful of times. He's already a Hall of Famer, and is just building up that resume to potentially contend for one of the best, if not the best center of all time. Okay, I might have been pushing it right there. That's my fault. I might have been pushing it. I'm sorry, Kareem. I'm sorry, Shaq. My bad. But either way, though, Jokic is a special talent. Last year was his best season. He put up 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, and did so without his second and third options in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. He led a battered Nuggets team all the way to the playoffs, and they lost to the eventual champs. The biggest thing for me about Jokic, what I love the most, is that he's an incredible playoff performer, like I stated earlier. In 5 games this past playoffs, he put up 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He's their best scorer. He's their best rebounder, of course, their best facilitator. He does it all. And a lot of people like to bring him down on the defensive side of the ball, but I actually think Jokic is pretty good defensively. Maybe not good, but he's about average or maybe slightly above average. He's not the most athletic, of course, but he's definitely going to hold his own down there in that paint. He's a solid rim protector. I could go on and on about Jokic, but we already know what type of player he is. We already know how special he is. It's the other components that were the big question marks for the Nuggets going into this offseason, and they answered a lot of those. Starting off with Jamal Murray, he unfortunately tore his ACL towards the end of the last season and missed the entire year this year. Prior to his ACL tear, he was having an all-star caliber season, averaging 21 points and just under 5 assists. Might I add, he shot 40% from 3 on just about 6.5 attempts per game. I mean, he's the perfect component to Jokic and is another player whose game elevates come playoff time. Looking back to his bubble play, it was extraordinary. And in 19 games in the bubble playoffs, he put up 26.5 points, shooting 50% from the field, 45% from 3, and 89.7% from the free throw line. He was a man on a mission, and considering how well he was able to play following the bubble, I feel like there's another gear that Jamal Murray can definitely tap into. Now, of course, coming off ACL injuries, it's hard. You have to find your rhythm again. You have to get back into game speed, and he's going to have to readjust and gain that chemistry with new teammates. But I'm confident that Jamal Murray can do that. He's going to be their lead guard, and he's going to do all the things that he was able to do previously. He's going to be a great three-point shooter. He's going to add to that facilitation, or with Jokic's added playmaking ability, because Jokic wasn't, putting up 8-9 assists when, Jamal Murray was healthy. Jamal Murray can now focus more on ball. He can focus more on scoring rather than looking to pass and set up other teammates. And that's what I like most about his re-addition to the team. Now, completing the big 3 is Michael Porter Jr., and Michael Porter Jr. is the player that I consider to be the X factor. Coming out of high school, he was the #1 overall prospect, but back injuries kind of derailed his career early on. He fell into the draft, and the Nuggets took a chance on him, and in his technically second season, he was nearly a 20-point per game scorer, and was super efficient from the field, shooting almost like 45% from 3 on about 6 attempts per game. He was a sniper, and the perfect off-ball shooter that Jokic needed. But there were some issues. For a player of his caliber, a lot of people looked at Michael Porter Jr. as a 6'10" on-ball demon, and he didn't really display too much of that. Defensively, for someone his size, it was just lackluster, most of it just having to do with effort. And lastly, he didn't really pass the ball, averaging just 1 assist per game, which is crazy to think. Like, he was supposed to be this unicorn, this alien type of NBA guy, and he just didn't really show that. Those spinal and back injuries are always extremely tricky, and it's a big concern moving forward. What might be an even bigger concern is that massive extension that the Nuggets gave Michael Porter Jr. That can come back to bite them in the long run. I'm kind of iffy on how confident I am in Michael Porter Jr. If he's able to come back and continue to be that player that he was in his second season, great. That's awesome. But being out of basketball for a year, that season technically being a COVID year, as well as dealing with those injuries, can he return to form? I don't know. And outside of those components are definitely some great pieces to talk about. We look at their defense last year and it was about middle of the pack, just because injuries and such like that, and they fixed that. The team went out there and they made a trade to get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's a much better defender than Will Barton ever has been. The team also went out there and signed Bruce Brown, and after a successful individual playoff run with the Brooklyn Nets, he definitely deserved that contract. Aaron Gordon is also a great defender who's really slept on just because I think a lot of people look at him as like this overrated guy. He has the athleticism, the lateral quickness, he's really loud on his feet. He's that perfect form man for that Nuggets team. Just talking about that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope trade, in that trade they moved on from Monte Morris as well, which clears the way for Bones Hyland to take on that backup point guard spot. Bones Hyland had a pretty successful rookie season, showcasing that long range shooting, and that's exactly what the Nuggets are going to need. He's not too much of a playmaker, but who cares? You have Nikola Jokic. If Bones Hyland can come in and drop 13, 14, 15 points per game, shooting about 37, 38% from three, that's perfect for the Nuggets, and exactly the reason why they took a shot on him. And that's not it for the team. Jeff Green at 36 years old can definitely still play. And one of, if not the best kept secret in the NBA is Zeke Naji, that the Denver Nuggets drafted, I want to say 2 years ago at this point. He's a 6'9", 240-pound super athletic power forward that can shoot the tray ball at an effective clip. And what's best about the Nuggets, what I like most, is essentially what I've been talking about, is that they have their established big three, as well as not just depth, but good depth. That's hard to come by in today's NBA. And when you're a team like them with the well-respected coach in Mike Malone, everything's going to come together. Mike Malone is one of the most creative coaches in the NBA, and with all this versatility you have, we could see some Zeke at 5 lineups. We could see some Aaron Gordon at 5 lineups. One of these lineups that they try out might be super successful for them. And to answer what everybody's thinking, are the Nuggets really the best team in basketball? I mean, I don't see why not. We'll see what happens, of course, because in the NBA, anything is possible. But as of right now, I'm declaring the Denver Nuggets as the title favorites.